I woke up at 3 in the morning because the house felt wrong. Not noisy, not cold, just wrong in a way you cannot explain with logic. After 40 years in the same farmhouse, you learn the language of silence. That night, it was whispering that something was about to break. My name is Rosalind Mercer. I am 64 years old. I have lived in this house longer than I lived anywhere else in my life. It was built by my late husband, Philip Mercer, and his father before him. Every floorboard has a memory. Every window has watched my children grow. I slipped out of bed to get a glass of water. My throat was dry. The clock on my dresser glowed 3:02. As I stepped into the hallway, I noticed a pale blue light leaking from under my daughter Lauren's bedroom door. Lauren had been staying with me since her divorce. 3 weeks of long phone calls and closed doors. She said she was tired. She said she was healing. But that light at 3 in the morning told me something else. I stood there in my nightgown listening. No music, no typing, just silence and that glow. I knocked softly. "Lauren, are you awake?" No answer. I turned the handle and pushed the door open. Lauren was asleep at her desk. Her head rested on her arms. Her glasses were crooked. Her phone lay beside her hand, still lit. I walked closer to wake her gently. That is when I saw the screen. A message thread was open. At the top it said, "Mark," her ex-husband. My heart slowed when I read the last message. "Did you move the deed yet?" Lauren had replied, "Tomorrow. She will never know." Another message followed. "You are sure she has not found it?" Lauren wrote back, "Mom does not even know what she is looking for. It has been hidden for 30 years. My knees went weak. Then the last line, "The property and everything else. Once it transfers, we split it 60-40 like we agreed." In that moment, I understood something terrible. My own daughter was planning to steal from me, and she thought I was too old to notice. I closed Lauren's door without making a sound and stood alone in the dark hallway. My heart was pounding so loudly I was afraid it might wake her. For a long moment I could not move. I was not just shocked, I was grieving. The daughter I believed I had raised did not exist anymore. I went back to my room and sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were shaking. I kept seeing those words on her phone over and over again. "She will never know." That sentence hurt more than the betrayal itself. It meant they saw me as invisible, as someone easy to deceive. For most of my life, I had been the steady one, the woman who made breakfast every morning, the one who kept birthdays, school forms, and family memories in neat little boxes. I had spent decades putting everyone else first. When Philip died 8 years ago, I held this family together with nothing but patience and faith. Lauren and Daniel had always told me they were proud of me. They said I was strong. They said I was the reason our home never fell apart. I believed them. I trusted them, because mothers are built to trust their children. I thought my family was simple. A widow and her 2 grown kids doing their best to survive loss. I thought the long phone calls Lauren made at night were just her sorting through pain from her divorce. I thought Daniel's quiet behavior was stress from work. I never imagined my own children were meeting in secret to divide my life like a set of numbers on a spreadsheet. That is the hardest truth. Betrayal from a stranger hurts. Betrayal from your children changes the way you see everything. and I was only just beginning to understand how deep this went.
Left
By
the
the
house
time
that
morning
morning,
came,
I went
I
straight
had
to
not
his old
slept
study.
at all.
I had kept
The
that
sky
room the
outside
same
my
since
window
the day
slowly
he died.
turned gray,
His desk,
while my
his
thoughts
shelves,
ran
his
in
papers.
circles.
It felt like
Hidden for
stepping
30
into a memory
years.
that never changed.
That was what Lauren had
I
written.
started looking through his
Something from
drawers.
3
At
decades
first,
ago
I
was
found
now
nothing
being used
unusual.
against me.
Old bills,
I knew it
insurance
had to be
forms,
connected
farm
to
records.
Philip.
Everything
After
looked
Lauren.
clean and proper, but something inside me kept pushing. Philip had always been careful, too careful. I began checking the bookshelves. One of them did not sit right against the wall. When I touched it, it shifted. That was when I saw a narrow space behind it. My heart started to race. I pulled the shelf forward and found a small hidden door built into the wall. I had dusted that shelf for years without knowing what it was hiding. Inside was a metal box. I carried it to the desk and opened it. The first paper I saw was a birth certificate. The name on it was Claire Dawson. The father listed was Philip Mercer, my husband. I had to sit down. There was also a deed to a beach house in South Carolina, another to a small property in Florida. Letters written in careful handwriting. A woman named Rebecca Dawson begging Philip to be part of their daughter life. He had another child, not a rumor, not a mistake, a whole person with a name and a past. Every letter told the same story. Philip sent money, he made promises, he stayed away. The final letter was dated just days before his death. In it, he wrote that he was sorry, that he wished he had been brave enough to tell me the truth. 30 years of secrets were sitting in that box, and now my children were trying to claim them. I took pictures of every document and put the box back where I found it. I pushed the shelf into place and stood there in silence. Philip had not just lied to me, he had built another life while I was raising his children and believing in him, and Lauren knew all of it. I did not confront Lauren when she came home that afternoon. I watched her instead. The way she avoided my eyes, the way she stayed close to her phone. Every small movement felt different now that I knew the truth. Later that evening, Daniel arrived for dinner. My son rarely visited without notice. Seeing him walk into the house at that moment felt planned. They spoke in low voices in the living room while I cooked. I could hear their words through the walls, not clearly enough to catch every sentence, but enough to hear the urgency. When we sat at the table, Lauren smiled like nothing was wrong. She passed me the potatoes. Daniel asked about my day. It was a perfect performance. After dinner, Lauren said they needed to talk to me. She placed a folder in front of me. Daniel explained that it was a trust document. He said it would protect me, that it would make things easier if anything ever happened to me. He said they only wanted to help manage my property. What they did not say was that once I signed it, I would no longer control anything. Lauren added that with legal issues coming up, it was important to move quickly. She said there was a woman making claims against Philip Estate, a woman who did not belong to our family. They meant Claire. They wanted me to hand over my house and land while they fought over Philip's hidden fortune. What shocked me most was how calm they were. They talked about my life the way people talk about selling a car. No emotion, just numbers and timing. In their minds, I was already gone. I told them I needed time to think. Lauren did not like that. I could see it in her face. The mask slipped for just a second. That was when I realized something even more frightening. They were not asking me, they were waiting for me to get out of the way. And if I didn't move fast enough, they were ready to push. The next morning, Lauren became unusually attentive. She brought me coffee in bed. She asked how I slept. Her voice was soft, but her eyes kept searching my face. Daniel arrived with a man I had never seen before. He wore a clean jacket and carried a leather folder. Lauren